Hi, welcome back again to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week we talk about Critical Role Campaign 2, episode 132, Aeor.
Again. Little technical difficulties there. Sorry, guys.
So yeah, Essek is getting his first dose of travel with the Mighty Nine.
Yeah.
And is not overly impressed.
Yeah, no.
And part of me wonders if him casting seeming on everybody to put them in white clothes wasn't a sort of a passive-aggressive dig at the party for deciding to dress in colors and stuff. Like, you guys are going to the north for a clandestine operation.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know if it was so much a dig as in, oh my god, they showed up completely unprepared.
Yeah.
Let me kind of just gloss over that for you.
Yeah. And yeah, Rose makes a good point. He does not seem confident at all.
Yeah.
Not even 1%. Yeah. I think, well, this gets ahead in the episode a little bit, but Liam at one point says as an aside, I'll see you on the other side of the war.
Yeah.
And I was like, does that mean he's anticipating a Hamilton-Burr relationship in the future?
Well, it's kind of been there if you think about it.
Yeah,
it really has.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of it is most of Essek's connection to the Mighty Nine is through Caleb.
Yeah.
And I think he may be showing a little bit of that wizard to, because he's definitely ranks them with Caleb at the top. Veth, who is also semi a spellcaster,
Yeah.
He definitely.
I think he's wary of Bo. Might be wary of Yasha, but only because he doesn't know a lot about her.
Yeah.
And the others he basically dismisses.
Yeah. I think he wonders why they bring Jester.
Yeah.
Especially after the, hey, can you do it again? Just add a B.
Yeah. Look, I spent a lot of money on this motif. Can you not respect it a little bit? And Travis / Ford remembers, oh, I have this thing on me.
Yeah. This brand.
Essek throws two dispels at it. Can't get rid of it. And Jester tries again.
Yeah.
This time with guidance from Caduceus.
Yep.
And this time it works.
Finally got the roll high enough.
Do you think that was just a divination thing?
I believe so.
Okay.
Because now he's not strictly a player class, but the brand, the Syrian brand that the Blood Hunter ability is for tracking purposes of the Blood Hunter. So I think it was just a beefed up version of that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think it still worked through the necklaces that protect from divination magic?
That I don't know. From a class standpoint, it doesn't. But this is juiced up Blood Hunter, Somnovum, Lucian.
Yeah.
So perhaps.
there was a joke between Liam and Sam, and also Matt, where they mentioned wizard truckers.
Yeah.
Being wizard truckers. And my brain has sort of been in that headspace. I'm like, what does that look like? And I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, I could see a warlock.
Yeah.
The what's the name? The name of the radio show that's on at 2 a.m. across the nation.
Coast to Coast.
That's it. Yeah, I mean that's a warlock's show if there ever was one.
Yeah, the netty.
Yeah. So yeah, especially with my Araku setting that has vehicles in it. I'm like, what is that? Like a dwarf wizard trucker is where my mind wants to go.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's an aside. Marisha enjoys being a monk in this episode.
Yes.
And Liam's like, was this character just to make up for the fish? And she's like, yes. I'm going to jump off every cliff I can.
And then later, I know I said that, but let's be real, guys.
The SpongeBob title card a few minutes later. Yeah. I'm not going to jump into a dark pit. Well, you don't have to. There's a rope. I love how they had the discussion, we need to conserve resources. And at every step on the way into this dungeon, for lack of a better word, this ruin, how can we maximally use all of our resources to do simple, mundane tasks, like climb down a cliff?
Well,
or climb a rope.
In their defense, that is the trope of the D&D player. I mean, they tend to go about things in ways that are overly complicated or...
Okay, yeah, I'll see that. Yeah, that's true. Travis, once again, being all of our avatars at the table, cheerleading them on.
Definitely.
Also, I don't think I have ever seen a player as excited as Travis was about a monster coming onto the board. as his excitement meter just went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and slowly turned up as he's like a blue hand, massive blue hand, and he's like, you can just sort of see giant.
Yep, the frost giants and the storm giants.
Which kind of makes me wonder if we are going to see them treat with the storm giants to the south, depending on how the confrontation with the Tomb Takers goes.
Yeah, like if the Cloven Crystal's no longer there.
Oh yes,
like we said.
Oh, I hope. I really hope. Yeah,
it's no longer there
because Lucian threw it in the sea. Yeah, that would be great. Although he arguably wouldn't do that for the same reason that Trent wasn't going to abuse Yusa's tower.
Yeah, of course he could have offered it to the storm giants in some kind of trade for something.
Well, I don't think Lucian did that. I think if Lucian was gonna use it in any way, it was just gonna be to throw it in the sea and let the servants of Uk'otoa come get it. just to fuck with them.
Yeah. I think he would use it to his advantage somehow. Like, hey, I'll give you this back if you
You don't think distracting the Mighty Nine with Ford's past isn't beneficial to him? Like, the only reason he wouldn't do it is because the Cognosa have a plan.
True.
So in that sense, he might not. But yeah. And Travis is cheering on of Yasha, both in her "I would like to rage," as he always does, but also when she crit and when she got hasted. And Liam's like, how did he put it? Oh, I want to see you in a Yasha jersey and face paint. And Travis is like, I have a foam finger, man.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It was just to spite them. He got rid of it. Yeah. And for that, he doesn't even have to throw it in the ocean. He just has to dump it in the waste of Isocross. That's arguably funnier because that doesn't endanger the Cognosa.
Yeah.
The Somnovum's objectives and screws with them. So, yeah. I loved Liam's comment. It's just 3 frost giants and 2 librarians in the corner. Yeah. We saw the downside of how they do crits on the show in this episode a couple times.
Yep.
Bo got her crit, rolled a 1. And Yasha so Yasha's dice pool on the crit that she got would have been 5d6 plus 4d10 plus 10.
Which is a large number.
Yes. Maximum 80 damage. But she rolled it, so she only did 2d6. Oh no, I'm wrong. It should be 5d6. But she did 2d6 plus the 1. 2d6 doubled plus the 1. And then 2d10 doubled. Plus 10. And she got, I think, 60 is what she rolled, or 58 or something like that. So she rolled pretty good.
Right.
But I was just like, ugh. It kind of hurt because because like previous editions, you would max the damage and then roll the dice. And I think if Matt did that at the table, I think it would be a more satisfying experience for them if they don't want to be rolling all the dice.
Yeah.
If that's why they don't do that. But it's not like they don't have extra dice with Laura at the table.
True.
And speaking of Laura, there was a discussion about their Fitbits, and Sam's like, well, I have to stand up, and he gets up, and Laura's like, I get full activity on game nights during the show. Which is funny. And kind of makes me wonder if I wore one, what I would get.
Yeah.
Not that I'm particularly animate, but I sit on a yoga ball, and some nights I do. There's more rolling involved than others.
Yeah.
But yeah. Liam cuts the combat short with polymorph.
Yep.
And says, take it 25 minutes away.
And drop it down a ravine.
In theory, that means the giant is 35, 40 minutes maybe away from coming back. Because giants are faster than people.
Yeah.
So I think either the Tomb Takers are going to run into it, or the Mighty Nine will run into it, depending on what the circumstances of that thing's creation is. Like, was it created to guard that entrance? And will it come back to that entrance? Will the others reanimate?
Yeah.
Because they didn't destroy the bodies outright.
Right.
And with undead, anything's in theory possible. So, yeah. I loved Liam. Is that a sloth? No, it's a rat. Oh, I love rats. Take it away.
It's a bad
Quickly.
attitude. Go.
Take this away before Jester falls in love with it and it becomes immortal.
Right.
At least that's what I got out of that exchange.
Yes.
We had a Forrester moment. Corrupted, interrupted,
Enhanced.
by Veth. Molesting Ford. And I was like, why is she doing that? And I could come up with two potential reasons. Okay, well, maybe three. But the third one that I just thought of is actually more Sam doing it than Veth. But the first one is her dislike and teasing of Ford since they met was a result of an attraction she had to him. Because he was green, she was green. We're both sort of monsters kind of thing. And she hated that, so she's ribbing him about it. And this is just that sort of making a comeback.
Gotcha.
Or she did it as some means of punishment because Ford did 30 damage to Essek, Caleb.
Well, I don't think it's your first reason. Second reason, possibly, but of all the Mighty Nine, she's has the least ground to stand on when it comes to damaging allies. She's fluffer-nuttered Caduceus twice.
Yes, and she's actually killed a party member. I'm not speaking from this is a he's without sin cast the first stone. This is you hurt Caleb. more you hurt Caleb.
Fair.
But the third reason is that Sam just wanted to fuck with Travis.
Which is the most likely.
Yes.
It was Sam being Sam.
Yeah.
And every table needs a Sam Regal, as Matt said.
Yeah. They take a short rest, and before going in, Jester uses all of her hit dice. Ford uses a 5th level Cure Wounds, I think, on her.
I think so, yeah.
He got all of his 5th levels back after the short rest, so that's not a huge loss.
Well, he did that, and he also did 3 castings of the Control Water.
Yeah, but I think those are his first level spells. I think. Or maybe the first level is only 10 feet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the higher ones.
Okay.
It was his one free one from the invocation he got for the Ukatoa thing, and then the other 2 of his 3 Warlock spell slots. Because he did them specifically because he was going to get them back at the end of the short rest.
That's right. Okay, yeah, because I was trying to figure out where he was like, where do you get? But I forgot about the Ukatoa blessing. Okay. Essek did Arcane Recovery, and Liam didn't.
Correct.
And I don't know why he didn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Other than at that point he hadn't yet spent 7 levels of spells yet.
Yeah.
So that could be why. Whereas Essek dumped 2 3rd levels and a 4th level, getting there.
Yeah. Just, well, in prep to leave for there.
Yeah. Plus the 2nd level haste on Yasha. So, yeah. Essex put in the work in. Whether he really wants to be there or not.
Yeah, by now he's probably wishing they had chosen to try to get Trent to help instead of him.
I think he's trying to plan his exit strategy. And I think, they haven't got a until death commitment out of him, is all I'm saying. But they go in, and there's the dark pit with a rope, a door sticking out, no frame, no nothing.
Philadelphia experiment style is Matt's description.
Which makes me think that is why the Tomb Takers need to be in this place. Because that's the first time we've seen any sort of extraplanar weird stuff happening.
Yeah. Most
everything else has been fairly natural, collapsed, buried.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. Now, they did try to touch the other wall and look for hidden entrances, illusions, that kind of thing, and it seemed solid. As Caleb burns his daily ability for polymorph without a spell slot to get them down there. And I was a little confused why Matt had them make an athletics check trying to get around the stalagmites or stalactites. Because to me, all I would have ruled was that was difficult terrain.
Right.
Unless the fail state is you're going to take damage or fall and then take damage. But they have spider climb, so rules as written, they can't fall.
Unless there's a danger of more collapsing.
Yeah, but even then, like, you would think if that was going to be the case, then it should have been a sleight of hand or acrobatics. So that like, and how I would have done that is if they make the dex save, maybe, or the acrobatics check, maybe they can ignore difficult terrain.
Yeah.
But the rider is going to have to make the athletics check to hold on.
Yeah.
Because, yes, the spider and the woman spider climb are perfectly comfortable walking on the roof. She's riding bareback or being carried, however you want to split that hair.
Yeah.
So that's in my mind, that's where the ability check comes in. And Matt was just like, no, you don't have to. And I was like, so yeah. But I think what Matt was trying to do was to put them on the ground to foreshadow earlier the brown mold.
Mm-hmm.
And I have enjoyed brown mold every time I have used it.
Yep.
In an encounter. It's a lot of fun, and even if the party isn't using fire for light.
Yeah.
Because it's just a weird texture with dark vision.
Yeah.
It's slightly darker than, it might be slightly darker. If the rock is dark, they're not seeing the brown mold. It's just going to be a weird texture on it, on the rock. Which is basically how he got them to go into the building, and then he was being rather nice about how often they were taking damage. Because every 6 seconds, they should be taking, every turn, they should be taking the damage. And he's a little loosey-goosey with how much time they were spending near the mold. Yasha had to, Ashley had a Travis moment where, oh, the robe, that's important. We should get it. I don't think we need it. No, but almost walk out, and everyone else at the table took their turns egging her on in one way or another with a side comment here and there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was good or bad for Matt to basically say, and he wasn't the only one, it was also Travis and I don't remember who else in that chaos, was like, no, you said you're going to do it. Do it.
Yeah. And
Matt finally was like, Ashley, you said, okay. Rolled really well.
Yeah.
On her strength check. Got the robe. And Matt handled that with a single dexterity save. A collapsing building, to me, reads like it should have been handled more like a complex trap. Where it's going to take you 2, maybe 3 turns to get out and survive it.
Gotcha.
Although, arguably, he didn't need to because of who was in the tower. Veth already stated she was going down to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And she can dash as a bonus action. So she's got 90 feet of movement a turn.
Right.
Yasha has a speed of 50, and she's mobile. So if she takes the dash action, difficult terrain doesn't matter. So you've got one who can move 90, one who can move 100, ignoring difficult terrain. Based on his description of the area, there's probably no way they couldn't get out of there in one round.
Yeah.
So on one hand, like I say, a collapsing building feels like it should be a multi-step process to get out of it, but it made sense
considering who was in there.
Yeah. And with a success, they didn't even take half damage.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting, especially for Yasha, who was upstairs. But that was a very Indiana Jones moment. It's probably, arguably, the most Indiana Jones moment of our explorations in Aeor.
Yeah.
Grab the treasure and run from the collapse.
The only thing they needed to do was reach back for a hat.
And Yasha has a hat.
Well, so does Beth. She's got that little wreath with the antlers.
I don't know if I'd call that a hat.
No, she called it a hat when she made the duplicate one for her son.
Yeah.
Headpiece. Okay, headpiece.
Fair. The big moment for me, after everyone comes down after hearing the collapse, and Sam had to remind them, your friends just went down in this hole and you heard a big collapsing explosion. You're not gonna come down? Your response is, oh, everything's fine. And again, using the rope that's there is not their option that they go with.
Yeah. Why do that when you can
use another 4th level spell?
Waste your resources that you're trying to save.
Yeah.
Have you even played D&D, man?
I have. and I know how precious spell slots are. So much so I made a build specifically to recharge them. Yeah. So I was just but the big moment in that whole thing, other than the half hour, 40 minutes almost, of them once they're down there planning. We can set the charge here.
Yeah.
We can do one here. We can do a sigil.
Here.
And the whole time they were doing that, I was like, okay, what you need to do is do the sigil near the opening. Maybe on the other side, where the psychic charge is. Psychic charge goes off. Somebody goes by, bang. But at the bottom, Laura noticing, hey, pain, it's not psychic damage, it's not a charm effect, it's not fear, and it will incapacitate whoever it hits. Was brilliant. But I think what they need to do is at the base conceal Veth's Fluffernutter Plus.
Yeah.
Because when they come down, she can rig it for a pressure activation. Boom, that's fire damage. All the brown mold in that whole area is going to come into that space. So not only do they have the explosion of the Fluffernutter, and maybe fall damage, and maybe psychic damage, but now there's just brown mold for 30 feet. Or 40 feet, or whatever the blast radius is. I don't know if they'll do that because they didn't even mention Fluffernutter in their planning. But what they were coming up with, I was like, all right, that's got potential.
Yeah.
But getting back to the big moment for me was Bo and Ford talking.
Yes.
We've had commitment unto death from Jester and from Caduceus. They were the first two. Caleb has said, you all are getting out no matter what.
Yeah.
This is the first time Ford has said, and Bo, because he got her to agree to it.
Yep.
Is
we're staying to the last second.
Yeah. We are on death ground here.
Yeah.
Which was big, and I look forward to how that bears out.
And like I mentioned last week, it's a reversal of what he said like 2-3 weeks ago when he said, we're getting out.
Yeah.
We're bugging out, you know.
Well, because I don't think at that point Jester had made it clear to everyone.
Yeah.
She had said it to a few people, and she had sort of... I got that she was very committed to risking her life.
Correct.
But I could certainly see how Ford, Travis... Okay, she says that, but does she really mean it?
Yeah.
Kind of a thought process. Yeah, it's important that we go and do this, I agree. And that's... She's using hyperbole to make a point on how important it is that we do this.
Yeah.
I don't think it was until she told him, I lied to Mama.
Right.
About coming back. That he realized, oh no, she's for real serious. She's willing to die.
Yeah.
I kind of wish Marisha had gone a little further when she was talking about like how and why she was trying to keep with her escape plan. Because she was privy to all the same discussions that everyone else was. Aside from Jester's admission that she lied to her mom about coming back.
I think for Bo, it's a reversal of the hag set. And the hag set, she was ready to give up everything because she didn't, want to give them a chance to leave her.
Mm.
Now she's moved past that. She knows they're not going to. So she's wanting to do whatever to keep the band alive, to keep them together.
Okay.
She doesn't, she was ready to end it before they could end it. And now that she knows they're not going to, she doesn't want it to end.
That's fair.
That's the read I got from it. Especially now that things are looking up in the romance department as well.
Well, I was just thinking about that. Do you think, because we of course were not privy to every moment of their time in the tower.
Right.
Do you think that there was some text exchanges between Marisha and Ashley about topics of conversation that they might have had?
More than likely.
Do you think she would have pressed Yasha for information on her wife?
No.
No, you don't think so?
I think it might have been brought up, but if Yasha was at all hesitant to share, Bo wouldn't have pushed it.
Because I see, like, you talking about that makes me think that had to have been, there's probably something behind there that is informing Bo's decision making in this.
Yeah.
Where, like, we talked about how their actions are going to determine which one of the pair of them is going to live.
Yeah.
And I think that discussion with Ford is a reflection of that. Is Bo has already made the choice that I'm going to die and Yasha's going to live. Because I want to make sure that as many of these people get out of here as possible.
I can see that. My argument was that either they both die or both live.
Yeah.
And,
which is possible. And again, I think they're going to kick the shit out of the Tomb Takers. I don't see it going more than 4 rounds when they finally do fight.
I was thinking 4 to 6.
Yeah, Rose, that's
Yeah.
sort of my thought process as well, that she probably wouldn't ask. And I don't actually think Yasha would volunteer that information either.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, that part of her life is still very closed off for her. Like, she has accepted it in such a way as to move on.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
much like Caleb wanting to keep the murder of his parents a secret, Yasha wants to keep that
part of her life secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can totally see that and agree with that. But just in the same way that Caleb tries to keep it secret, but it kept coming up, I could also see it not intentionally coming up, like, oh, we need to talk about this, or I want, but, one of them said something that triggered it, and then it was either discussed or dropped right away. And probably dropped right away if it was brought up, is where I was going. More than likely dropped right away, but I just like, sometimes in that kind of a situation, those things, even unintentionally can come up.
Yeah.
Especially on a we're getting to know each other type conversation.
Yeah. So I wanted to sort of dissect different parts of their plan.
Okay.
And I've already mentioned Fluffernutter, but should be an addition. If for nothing else, than to draw in the brown bulb.
Yes, I think that's an amazing idea.
Laura's plan to use pain as the effect from the sigil could prove to be amazingly powerful, especially if Lucian's the one that it hits on.
Yeah.
Because if that happens, first round, Caduceus, path to the grave, and Ford goes in, hits him.
Ford or Yasha. I mean, yeah, Ford's got the divine smites, but...
And that's where you want it. Because Ford would roll, if he would be rolling 12d8 plus 8 on that crit. Or 6d8 doubled plus 8. And then double that. Because
assuming he crits.
They're incapacitated.
Oh.
Hits or crits.
You're
so
right.
It's an automatic. That's why I say if they can hit Lucian with that and incapacitate Lucian that way, pass to the grave, dump that those 5th level smites, because the first one's going to be ungodly. It's going to be probably over 200 hit point damage turn for Ford if they can pull that off.
Which we've yet to see them.
So yeah, oh yeah, when them going first and them getting upset. Yeah, and I forgot to talk about that, because that monster appearing, how it did and where it did, indicates either it has a burrow speed, or there's something to that door.
Yeah.
Because it came from where they came from. Now, it's also possible that there is a secret door that their passive perceptions would not see. Because Caduceus doesn't have dark vision, and they didn't do a whole perimeter sweep of the room. So that's possible. But it came from the top.
Yeah.
But yeah. But they were smart when they were planning on the point of the traps. And that was, Lucian or not, the psychic damage ones likely will damage the other Tomb Takers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, if we can just take them out, and if they can take them out and just focus on Lucian, then yeah, it's going to be a real quick fight.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we discussed last week.
Yeah. They seem to be working closer to the combos that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The Path to the Grave, crit for the Paladin. So I am much more comfortable in predicting a win for the Mighty Nine against the Tomb Takers next episode, if it is next episode, because I got a terrible fear that, much like when leading up to the first confrontation with the Tomb Takers, it seemed to be taking an awful long time to get to that point. And I just sort of flashed on me, and I was like, please let it happen next week. Because if it doesn't, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go crazy.
Right.
Also because I want them to level up again. And I think defeating the Tomb Takers is
especially since they're doing a milestone base, defeating the Tomb Takers will definitely be a level up scene.
Yeah. So, yeah. And giving them another level gives them more resources with which to confront the Somnovum and save Yusa.
Or expend on the way there and be in the same boat that they usually end up in.
Yeah. And I've been sort of thinking about this. What is the probability that the Tomb Takers are already on the way, and the Mighty Nine are not going to get the opportunity for a long rest?
So,
because narratively, it's super high tension. If they're like, okay, we cleared this out to this point, we're going to set up our traps. they get their traps set, but the Tomb Takers show up before they can finish a rest. Like, narratively, that creates maximum tension. And
see, what honestly at this point, what I'm thinking is going to happen, and it's going to kind of suck. But what I just, and I don't know that it's going to happen, but just what I see in my brain is they're going to defeat this thing, do any setup that they can do before a long rest in preparation for the Tomb Takers, do the mansion, and when they come out of the mansion, the Tomb Takers are going to be there waiting for them. So they won't have the opportunity to
have taken advantage of their preparations.
Yes.
I can't. That is definitely a scenario that's possible. And they would
the only thing worse than that would be all that happening, but Lucian canceling the mansion before they finish their long rest.
Yeah. Yeah, Rose, you make. I mean, and that's why I say, if they're fresh, the Tomb Takers are toast.
Yeah.
Whereas, if he wants maximum tension in the fight, if he wants to push Yasha to her limit the way that he did when she got attuned to the sword, making her rage beyond death, that's how you do it.
Well, I think that's going to happen. Because if she's the one that tackles Lucian, like we talked about, and he does all this damage to her, especially the psychic damage that he was doing to everybody, it's very possible that she's still fighting beyond death with him. Well,
God, that's gonna be that. Oh, I hope so.
Like,
it's so fucking epic.
That's in my book. That's almost a given. That's a close to it being a given without having a script that they're going off.
Yeah.
In my book, that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of satisfying conclusions, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Now,
especially in some sense.
The only thing that would be great about that is if they do that, she drops, comes out of the rage and drops, and then they get to resurrect her without material components.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Rose, Matt. Well, and that's why I say, like, not only Lucian saying, I'm steps ahead of you, or keeping that illusion going, but also, like, in some ways, Lucian has almost been like Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't run. He's not going to run to catch you.
Yeah.
He's just going to catch you. And he's always going to be around the corner when you least expect him.
Yep. Jason or Michael Myers.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I don't know what exactly that beast is either.
Yeah.
I
didn't look through all my books, but it wasn't in the Wild Mount book.
Yeah, at first I was thinking, is it one of the Aeorian Guardians?
Yeah, no.
But I was like, no, it doesn't sound like anything. It's got the 6 legs like the baby did, though.
Yeah.
So it may be one of these other
from that
same source book that he got the baby from. Or maybe it's some kind of ice drake.
Could be.
But I don't think it's going to be a particularly dangerous fight. I think it will have an AoE cold attack.
Yeah.
It will probably get it off once. They're in that hallway, so it's probably going to hit all of them, or almost all of them.
Yeah. It might be just a cold aura.
That's possible. The Giants had that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I don't think that fight's going to take maybe 2 or 3 rounds. They'll be done with that fight in the first half hour.
Right.
I don't know. Well, they got into another chamber, and I do want to spend a minute talking about that because that was basically, by my interpretation, the Houses of Parliament.
Yeah.
For Aeor. And I'm pretty sure Matt was about to remind Liam, and then for some reason decided not to, about the book that Caleb took from the Folding Halls of Halas the first time they went in.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the history books, and it was a parliamentary report on the proceedings.
Yep.
And offhand, I can't remember what they were discussing in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed very close to the Cataclysm.
Yeah.
It was something leading up to that.
Yeah.
So that was the first sort of hint at why this space is important and why the Tomb Takers are coming here to do whatever it is they need to do to bring the Somnovum back, to bring the Cognos Award back.
Right.
And I'm beginning to wonder if some of the information that we've gotten from Lucian about the Cognos Award, well, it was between Lucian and Halas, that the Cognos Award betrayed the city and left before the Cataclysm is true.
Yeah.
That maybe they were banished and they cannot come back until something is done in that room to bring them back.
Yeah.
So first he's got to go there, undo whatever that was, and then he can go and send these to the city.
Yeah.
So that it can come back. That's where my brain is.
Yeah.
But I don't know why Matt didn't remind Liam of that, other than we, the audience, were not privy to that information. And so to bring it up at this point would have required exposition. And I think he wanted to get to this beastie fight to end the episode on a moment.
Cliffhanger.
So because we, the audience, were not privy to what was in that email that Matt sent to Liam last year.
Yeah.
It wasn't as important in the moment of the show. But I think while they were joking about to the text thread, I think Matt probably sent an email to Liam reminding him. so that Liam can be that vehicle for that exposition.
Yeah, that's what I assumed as well.
But yeah, we will see what happens Thursday, I guess.
Yep.
Hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight, and we will see you then.
I guess.